Hey, how are you doing, boys and girls? Welcome back to some more Grey Zone Warfare, and today is the start of the first videos for the new Night Ops DLC. And what a better way to start it with a ultimate starting guide for people who are coming back to Grey Zone Warfare, who are also new to Grey Zone Warfare. This is aimed mainly towards the people who are new. You may learn something also if you are coming back from Grey Zone Warfare after having a break or still been playing it and just waiting for the new DLC to drop. Hope you enjoy, boys and girls. This one's going to be a long one, so I will apologise, but I try and include as much information as possible to get everyone on their feet so they can jump in and start enjoying Grey Zone Warfare and doing the missions in the game. Let's get straight into it. Before we jump into the game, I just wanted to show you what you'll be greeted with when you start Grey Zone Warfare. Many of you who've already played will know this, but I just want to talk about the faction. You can create your character however you like, and then when you go to continue, you go to choose your faction. Now, this is where it can be a little bit important what faction you choose. Now, in terms of missions and the starting area, they're all completely the same. They're just in different locations because Le Mans, Mithras and Crimson are all separated around the map. The starting area is completely the same in terms of the layout, but it is slightly rotated. The reason why you want to make sure you choose the right faction, though, is just because you want to make sure you're going with the same faction as your friends. If your friends, for example, have gone Le Mans, you want to also go Le Mans because you won't be able to pair up or team up with them if not. If your friends go Crimson, you're Le Mans, you won't be able to play together. You won't be able to squad up, do your missions together. You'll be able to meet each other in the different POIs and organise like meeting up, but you won't be able to do your missions together and squad up. All right. Just make sure that you talk to your friends and make sure that you choose the same faction as each other so that we can party up and don't have any issues that way. There is some other like pros and cons for each faction, and I will go over that when we're in the game and why I choose a specific faction myself, which I'm going to go Le Mans. If anyone wanted to know, I'm going to go Le Mans. I love Le Mans and I've always been with that faction pretty much 2 weeks in. Okay, so create your name and then off we go. So let's just do that and we'll get on to the next tip. Now, to carry on about the factions I was talking about beforehand when we're spawning in now, there is a few pros and cons for going with a specific faction. So, and it's going to be basically related to the POIs. Now, Mithras is quite popular. It's a very popular faction, and it's mainly due to the fact that it's got some really nice POIs right next to it. Because what you got to remember is you're traveling always from base to the POIs to go to, right? So, for example, Le Mans is really far away from Fort Nerif and Sawmill. Okay, these and YBL also really far away from. So if I want to go over here, I have a lot more of a travel to get to these than, for example, Mithras or Crimson. It's the same for Mithras. If they want to go to Midnight Sapphire or the airfield over here, they've got a longer way to go to get over here, right? They have to a bit more of a travel to get over to this area than, for example, us, who's really close to it. So the pros and cons are really going to be based on your preferences on what POIs. If you're new, you most probably won't have a preference, and again, it's just going to be picking basically where your friends are, and you'll start learning which POIs you like the most. But if you're definitely like played before and you have specific POIs you like, then you want to pick the faction which is closest to those POIs. Now, before we jump into the juicy bit and get you into the game, you'll then see your character you created at the main menu with a fully fledged out kit ready to go, which is actually really handy. The thing I wanted to show you at the main menu and before we jump in is there is two game modes. There's the Warfare game mode and the Joint Operations game mode. Now, Warfare is the PvP, PvE game mode, all right? This is where enemy factions can fight each other, and there's PvP enabled, and there's also friendly fire off. So if you shoot someone in the faction, they will die. Okay, so it's a little bit more brutal, and you can obviously get kits from other players, you can fight other factions, and it's a little bit more dangerous when you go to the POIs. Now, Joint Operations is more PvE mode. This is where you kind of work together with the different factions. You don't fight each other factions, and there's friendly fire on, so you can't actually kill your teammates and things like that. And so there's two different modes. Now, these two modes have the same progression. All right, you only have one character. There's not two characters, so you don't have to worry about having to commit to only warfare or commit to only joint operations. You can switch between them, and this is something I do regularly when I have my playthrough. If I'm struggling with a mission, or it's a really hard mission in terms of fighting the AI, and I don't want to get shot in the back, for example, by some enemy faction who's maybe trying to do the same mission, I just want to get that mission done, I can then switch over to joint operations and do that mission without that worry, and get maybe help from other players, right? So that is the pros and cons about Grey Zone Warfare. It is really good in letting you have a choice, and you don't get like penalized for having a certain choice, right? So you can kind of go between the both. Now, the reason I want to talk about it too is when you're starting out, if you're a veteran of Grey Zone Warfare, or if you're new to Grey Zone Warfare, I would 100% go joint operation. The reason for it, at the starting area, no one fights. There's no PvP, there's no people coming over from other factions fighting each other, right? You see it more later on in the kind of like mid to late game where people have maybe finished their missions and now they just want to get into some action. But at the start, you rarely see people fighting each other, all right? I never see it. Everyone's just trying to do their missions. Everyone's just trying to learn the game. There's going to be a load of new people coming into the game trying to learn it. And so I would 100% advise you to go to joint operations, at least for the first part where you're doing the starting area, where you're doing all the starting missions, because if there's someone new in the game and they're still learning and they may be a little bit trigger hungry, it'll save you getting team killed by players who may be inexperienced to you yourself. This is for the veterans too, right? It just saves you having to always constantly check your map to make sure that it's a friendly or if it's an enemy person. It just saves you all that, and you can kind of focus on the AI, focus on your missions, focus on learning the game, and just kind of enjoying it without having to worry about people taking your kits if you die, or if they shoot you and team kill you. It just saves a lot of that. And so 100%, if you're new at least, go joint operations. But I would also say, just to save you a bit of a ball ache in getting team killed, if you're a veteran and you just want to get through to the starting area, go joint operations. I'm going to have to go warfare myself at the minute because I'm on the playtest, in terms of like we get to play this a little bit earlier. And so we only have warfare available, but I would 100%, if I was going on the 27th, we go in joint operation. Let's now jump straight into the game. Now you get greeted with a welcome message, whatever faction you went with, and you can go, let's start. Now, if you had a DLC, so if you bought like the supporter edition or one of the DLCs, what they do is they give you extra gear and some extra space and things like that. So if you did purchase DLC, you'll get then greeted with this message to say, receive your items. Because I have got the supporter edition, I can click receive my items, and you'll see that there's a lot more things that we get here, okay? Now, a lot of people always ask me, how do I get hold of that bigger container? Well, the bigger container comes, this is the task container here, that comes with the support edition. I always get this question asked, and so I thought I might as well answer it here while we're doing this like starter guide. So you can see at the minute, you normally start off with the little safe lock container. You can take that off if you are a supporter edition, and you can grab then, for example, the task container. Now, if you are just buying the base game, you can still get hold of this task container, by the way. It's not just exclusive to supporters. You can get hold of this yourself just by completing some of the missions and getting through the end part mission. There's a specific mission which will give you this, and I actually have a guide on that on the channel. Okay, so if you are starting and you want to get this container, just play through the missions. You will eventually get this task container unlocked. All right, so that is the information about the support edition or DLCs. If you have it, you can grab this each time you wipe your character. Say, for example, you play the game, you wasn't happy, or you died a load, you lost a load of gear, and you wanted to wipe your character. You can do that, and I'm just going to quickly show you that at the start, just in case you do muck up and you're just starting out. Just something to take note. So if you exit the game and go back to the main menu here, there's a wipe character feature just below. All right, if you click the wipe character, it'll tell you, are you sure? You can click yes. It'll then wipe your character, it'll close the game, and it'll come up and start just like you were starting again, where you choose your person, choose your faction and all that. So again, if you maybe choose the wrong faction to your friends, what we was talking about before, you can wipe your character and start again to get into that same faction of yours. Now, you can't keep wiping your character every single time on the same day. There is like a certain time before you can wipe your character again. I think it's a week or 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done it enough, but there is a time period before you can do it again. You can't just keep on wiping your character the same day. All right, so just take that as it is. Be careful with the wipe character. You can only do it a certain amount of times each each week or two. So just take that into note. All right. When you first jump in, you may be looking around and feeling a little bit overwhelmed, possibly. So the first thing you want to make sure is that you're ready to go in terms of getting kitted out. Right now, if you're at base, actually this is the perfect example of showing this. You hear a lot of helicopters. If you press O, it activates the noise cancelling in your headphones. You do have to have a headset on, but get in the habit of pressing the O when you're at base, and it'll just muffle the sound of helicopters and things like that. This is a new addition added into Night Ops, and it just saves my lugholes a lot when I'm at base. And I'm also doing like guys like this. I don't have to hear the super loud helicopters. But that is one thing just to take note. But when you get in, you might be wondering, what do I do? What do I bring with me? How do I start my missions? All the type of things like that. So before we get into your character, let's actually just grab the missions we need to start doing, because that's what you want to be doing, is grabbing missions and doing them for the vendors to level them up so they become, and they have higher tier stuff you can buy. So if we go over to the vendors, at the minute we're only given Handshake, Gunny and Lab Rat, and you'll unlock Artisan, Turncoat and Banshee later on down the line once you start progressing through the missions. You'll unlock Artisan pretty soon. If you start doing the starting missions, you will unlock her, and I will be doing a guide on a really cool starting gun build. So look out for that video in the next day or so, showing you a really good build, which will get you through a lot of the missions, and it feels amazing, by the way. So we'll go over that later on, but you got three vendors at the minute. Okay, and you'll notice that they're all level 1, and I have kind of like the basic gear at the start. Doing the missions, what they ask, their task, will level them up, and you'll get them up to level 2 and then level 3, and you'll unlock better gear as you go along. Higher tier armor, higher tier weapons, which are more customized, more weapons to unlock. You'll have access to better night vision, all those type of things. All right, better meds when it comes to Lab Rat, things like that, which are more efficient. And so you want to make sure that you are doing these tasks, and that is the thing you want to be focusing on. So go to each one, go to the tasks, and then just click on each one and click accept task. Once it's done, it will then be added to your task section over here. All right, so I'm going to go over to Dale Gunny, go to him, also grab him. Now, it says required items are missing in your equipped carrier. So it's actually giving me information that I need to grab something. Now, if there was something I need to bring with me, they will give you a message like he did. And you can see up here, if we go to the messages, Gunny is asking us to grab these 2 trackers. So I'm going to collect them and make sure they are on my person before we leave. But yeah, he's given us the trackers to do this. We have to go and mark something by the looks of things. But if you now notice that we now have 2 missions here, and then we're just going to grab now Lab Rat's one, accept, and the same thing with her. We're all good to go. Okay, now let's head over to the character and get ready to go and do our mission. Now, when it comes to bringing gear, the actual starting kit is pretty perfect for getting you through the starting area. There's a few things I would change and a few things I would organize in my kit. And this is something I always have a certain habit of doing, and making sure I have everything in the same place each time, so you know exactly where each thing is when you're in the action, and it kind of gets more like kind of muscle memory. I would mostly start off by making sure I don't have a pistol with me. I don't need a pistol with me since we're using the M4, and that's the only gun I'm going to be using. Now, the pistols have been buffed, and they are actually pretty good now in Night Ops, and so I'm not saying they're bad, but I would mostly use it with, say, for example, a sniper, or I would use it as a gun to go and get back a kit if I got killed planning to do a mission or doing something in a POI and I wanted to just get back to my body safely, I could easily bring a pistol with me then and then just use that to get to my body and get my kit back, for example. And just while we're in the topic of talking about kits and dying and things like that, if you die anywhere in the game, right? So if you die in any of the parts of the POI, you can fly back and get your body, all right? Your body won't disappear. You can go back and loot your stuff and get your kit back and carry on. Now, the only reason your body will disappear is, for example, say you died and then you go back to your body and you get shot before you get to your body, then your body will disappear. So you kind of have like a chance to go back and get your body, but you don't get a second chance to get that body, okay? So just something to take note. If you do die, just take note where you died, weigh out the pros and cons. Is it a safe area where you died? Was it only, say, 1 or 2 AI about? Or was there a load? If there's a load, obviously you want to bring more with you than just a pistol. If there's just like 1 AI and you missed it or something, bring a pistol with you, quickly go and get your body back, all right? Now, this could be a little bit different if you're planning on warfare, because obviously if you get killed by a player, they may loot your stuff, right? But in PvE, in the joint operations mode, for sure, you can easily go back and loot your stuff and you should be fine, all right? So just something to take note when it comes to getting your body back. You can go and loot it and get your stuff back. You won't instantly lose your gear if you die. You do have 1 chance to go back and get it, all right? So I took the pistol off. I think that's fine. Everything else here is kind of good, to be honest, though I would change a few things, and we're going to go and show you that now. Now, when it comes to meds, try and keep this video somewhat not too long. It's going to be pretty long because I'm going over quite a few things, but I want to make sure that certain things like your meds are put into another video, because that is a video in itself, because there's quite a lot of things you have in your medical items, and everything you in the starting kit given to you is what you'll need on your adventures in Grey Zone Warfare. Everything here will deal with certain things, and there's a perfect video from a awesome creator and a friend of mine called Huds back when this game first came out, and everything is the same in terms of meds, and he deals and shows everything perfectly and why you should use each thing in the game. All right, so if you're new and you don't understand the healing system in this game yet and you're still trying to learn about it, in the pinned comment down below I will leave that information, that video of Huds showing you how to use all these items and what all these items do. But I'll give a brief explanation, and I'm also going to show you where I like to put these items, just because there's certain items you need to use straight away in a fight and to deal with certain things, and there's certain items you can use when you're out of the action, when you're safe, and that's what I want to talk about in the starter guide, just to help you along. Okay, so let's get into that. So I like to put some of the healing items in my secure container, because you won't use these all the time and they're a little bit more valuable to you than other items. And so what I like to use is these pouches. Now, if you just started and you haven't bought anything like the support edition or anything, you'll get given some of these, and you can buy these. They're called MFAC. So you can go to your vendors, go to LabRat, and you can buy them, and they're really cheap, not too bad in price. All right. Now, you can use these to kind of separate and create space in your inventory. So if this only uses 1 slot, for example, and so I can put 2 of these in this 2-slot belt, but if I open both of these up, I now have 4 slots available. Now, these slots are only for meds. You can't put anything else in them. So you can't put, like, for example, ammo in them or anything like that, or attachments, but you can put meds in them. So, for example, you can see here, this is a 2-slot med item, but I can actually just put it into a 1-slot item here. So it's a great way of just managing your inventory, and they are really handy to put in your secure container. So with the support edition, you do get hold of, I think this is over the higher editions, I don't know, but you do get hold of one of these ones. Now, this actually gives you 6 slots. It's actually been updated since the previously. If anyone who's played this beforehand knows, it used to only be 4 slots, but it's now 6. It's actually really good. You know, if you haven't got these, you'll be able to unlock these pretty fast, because it's only level 2 with LabRat. Once you level her up, do some missions, you get to level 2, you will also be able to acquire these. But I would advise for now just using the MFAC. They will do the same type of thing, and you can still create space with them. right? So I'm going to be going over and putting this in here. And the things I like to keep in my secure container are blood, because we don't use this all the time. I'm going to pop that in there. It's going to be the circuit. I don't use this all the time, so I'm going to pop this in here. And then I'm also going to put in the splint, because the splints I don't use all the time, and you don't need to use them straight away in a fight. So everything I've put in here so far is things I don't need to use straight away in a fight. They're not emergency use items, okay? And that's what I like to kind of refer them to, is meds which are you have to use in emergency to keep you alive in a fight, and meds which will just help you, you know, patch your character up once you're out of a fight. These are the things you need to do and use after a fight to patch yourself up to carry on in your adventures. The other one I'm going to put in here is the bandage. You also don't need to work on wounds straight away. They will either fix themselves, or you can use them afterwards, but they're not emergency use items. Now, the two items which are emergency use are these two items here: the CT and the ibuprofen. Now, you could also argue that the pills are not emergency use. You don't have to use them, but they really, really do help you in a lot of situations. So I'm going to bring a MFAC. I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to put both of them in my tactical belt here, ready to go. Now, anything which is in your tactical belt or in your rig will be classified as being able to use them as hotbar items. So I'm going to put mine back in the tactical. And what I mean by that is, if I now press H, it'll start using the most appropriate item in your hotbar. Now, if you hold H, it'll then bring up a hotbar. All right, and you can then choose what you want to use. All right. Now, I would like to hold H and just choose the item I want to use. And then you can just scroll down and you just press H again, and then it will use it. Now, another quick note of just something I just done there, and I cancelled it. You can cancel any animation in this game by just right-clicking the mouse. So if you wondered how I just done that, by instantly just cancelled that item because I don't want to use it, I just right-click to cancel it. And that is just something to also just remember. So, why are these important? Why should I be only having these on me at least? So the CT is used to stop bleeding, and that is the thing which is going to knock you out. That is the thing which you need to sort out in your journey. If you're getting shot at, you have to sort it out straight away if it's a heavy bleed. Now, again, if you watch Huds' video, you'll understand the difference between a light bleed and a heavy bleed. Now, if at the top, I think it's at the top left, if I can remember rightly, I'm trying to remember, but you'll see an icon, right? If you're getting shot at, you're fighting along the way here, and you get shot at, and you see a little like drip, and it's only one drip, which is classified as a light bleed, you don't have to tend to it straight away. In fact, it will most probably sort itself out. You don't have to really do anything about it. It will just sort itself out and you can keep on fighting. You'll also see it here. It'll tell you if it's a light bleed. You can highlight over the injured area. It'll tell you if it's a light bleed or a medium bleed. If it's a light bleed, just leave it. If you've got all your blood on you at the minute and you're in amongst of it and there's a load of action going, don't worry about it. If you get shot and you see a little drip and there's only one drip, that's completely fine. Don't worry about it. Just carry on fighting or whoever you're trying to fight. All right? Don't worry about it. Now, if you get shot at and he's panting a bit and he's making a load of noise, maybe he's got a wound, a light wound or a medium wound or a fracture, or maybe, you know, one of his limbs has gone or something, or he's punctured or something, and he's making a load of noise, that's where the painkiller comes in to stop that noise and make you be able to concentrate and carry on fighting to get to a safe area to then patch yourself up. I use these a lot in PvP. They are so handy, and make sure that you do use them if you are getting into a fight. Sometimes if I feel like I'm going to get into a fight, I will then just pop the pill before getting in to save me making any noise before I get into a fight. So these are why these two items are absolutely essential to have with you in your hotbar. The other ones here you can use once you're out of the action, and that's why I like to have them in my task container. It means that if I die and I can't get my kit back, I don't have to keep buying these items all the time. And when I go back in, that'll be in my container, secure container, which is a container which you'll never lose the items in this container ever. If they're in here, right? Even if you die, you won't lose them. Anything obviously in your chest space, your backpack, or anything like that will get lost when you die if you don't go and collect your gear. All right. So that's how I like to organize my meds. And it's a little bit different if it's PvE, because obviously in PvE, you can easily go back and collect your gear and you're not going to have people loot your body, for example, in PvP. So you could argue that I could actually just put this here, right? Because if I'm playing PvE, I can just go back and grab it. And then obviously now in the hotbar, we have access to everything here. But I just always have the muscle memory, and I always like to have it in my task container. And then in the action when I'm fighting, if I need to stop a heavy bleed, which is 2 drips or more, you want to sort them out as fast as possible. I'll then apply a CT, stop that bleed. I will then pop some painkillers to concentrate, get into the fight. And then all I need to do is bring up my inventory and then go to my QR kit and select what I need, other things I need to do to patch myself up, depending on my health. This is something which will come in time, more experience. The more you play, the more you understand the health system, and the more you'll kind of just get used to knowing what you need to do to patch yourself up. But again, like I said, I will leave in the pinned comment down below Huds' video on this, which will really go through in depth what you need to know. Now, the only thing they don't actually give you right at the start of your pack is grenades. And I think grenades are really, really crucial, and they can help you a lot in the game, because they can use them to draw out AI. You can use them to flush AI out of places which you can't see or you can't really know where they are, but you have an idea where they are. They're really, really handy for that situation. And so I bring a lot of grenades with me. If you watch my gameplay, you know I use a lot of grenades. I'm always using them. And so I like to bring at least 3 to 4 grenades with me, and I have them in my pockets. This is how I have them all set out. And this is kind of pretty much how I have my packs always set out. I have my tactical, which holds any meds I want to bring with me. I have the pockets, which hold the grenades, and then I have my tactical rig here, which is your armor and holder. I like to put obviously my magazines, and in the backpack I just keep with me any food and drink I may need to top up later on down the line. So I would also bring some ammo with us, right? Because at the minute, we've got 3 magazines, but you'll easily run out of this ammo if you're getting into fights in the starting time. So how do you know which ammo goes where? And it kind of comes down to the actual gun. Now, if you right-click on the gun you're using and click Inspect, there's going to be a few things that's actually going to show you. One thing is at the top of just next to where the name of the gun is, at the top left, it'll say 5.56x45. That is the ammo you need for that gun. You'll also notice that it highlights the magazines which work with this gun. So it'll highlight everything in here, which is also to do with this gun, right? So if we inspect it and scroll down, anything which can be attached to this gun will be highlighted and shown, so you know what you can actually attach to the gun and do okay with. All right, so it will actually tell you all the attachments you can add to the gun, what magazines you can use, things like that. Right now, the other way you can also is if you right click on a magazine and unload it, you'll see the ammo come up and tell you what the ammo is too. So we know it's this ammo here. And if you want to load a magazine up, you just drag ammo in it and make sure it's done. But yeah, this is the ammo I want to bring with me. I'm actually going to bring all this ammo with me. Now, you can drag it like this into your bag, but another really quick way of actually grabbing items from your inventory and stuff like that is if you press Control on your keyboard and click it, it will just bring it all over for you. There's a good way of just kind of like grabbing things really fast and just putting it into your bag. It also works the same way as if you want to get rid of things from your backpack and just put it into your stash, you can just click it and it'll put it back into your stash like that, just by pressing Control and left clicking. All right, so this should be enough ammo for us. This is perfectly fine. And it's because now Night Ops is also a night, it's got the night, feature in it now, and things get dark. You also want to make sure you bring something else with you which isn't given to you on your kit. You'll notice that at the minute we haven't got any night vision. Now, if you go to vendors and go to handshake, he is the guy which will have the night vision. And you can see here, you'll need to buy both of these for the night vision. Now, you will get given some night vision, I think, at the start, but I'm just for the sake of showing you, going to buy both the Rhino mount and also the PVS7, right? Going to buy both of them. And this also then shows you how to trade and buy things. You just click on it, it goes in the trading cart, and then you click trade, and it now comes here, right? To add this to your character, all you need to then do is drag this onto your helmet, and then you drag this onto your helmet, just like so. And you can now see on my character, we've got night vision. Now, if you press, I think it's N, you then bring up the night vision, and you can now use this ready to go. So we've now got the night vision ready. If we're going into a dark area, we can then use the night vision and carry on along the way. Now, it may be a bit hard to see with the crosshair, right? So how do we fix this? We've got night vision, we've sorted this out. There's another new feature been added into Night Ops, which I want to talk about, and that is the canted part of the gun. You can now cant your gun and use specific attachments to do that. Now, the default for this is your thumb button. So when you're like aiming, if you just press your thumb button, it switches between them. You can also press it while out. And I've pressed it again, it's now canted. Press it again, now back to aim down sight. How do we put a laser on our gun? So some of these, again, if you click inspect, it will highlight the things you can put onto your gun. If we go down a bit, we can see the things that we can put on. So we've got this one here, which I think is a laser. It is, yeah. This one goes straight onto the gun. I'm going to pop that on. And now, if you press T and hold it, you can see here, like you basically have to hold T like so, and it brings up tactical. And then if you press T, it'll then switch it back on and off, right? So now we've got the laser ready to go, right? You can see now we've got the laser on. If you want to just press T, you can turn it off, turn it on, like so, right? Now, this is great when you cant it, because now we've got full control of the laser, and we can now see where the laser's going and control it. And so you're now putting on night vision. The laser is a lot easier to see at night, and you can use it to kind of clear buildings a lot easier with the canted instead of using the aim down sight, right? That is just something to bear in mind. And yeah, you can use lasers. Now, let's just have a look under the vendors. Go to Gunny, because he's going to be the guy who deals with attachments for your gun. He is the guy you want to look at. Now, I don't know if he has by default lasers. By the looks of it, he does. Yeah, he does. An N-star light and N-star laser. You can see here, he has them ready to go. Now, I don't know if these need a mount or something. I'm actually going to buy this laser and see. In fact, it looks like you can just attach them on to the gun. You can see if I grab this, it's highlighted and showing that I can actually put it onto these guns. So you can buy these lasers by the looks of things, and the same with the flashlight. You can do the same thing here. Now, some of them may require a mount, and I will go over these again in depth in another guide. But for now, there is a laser if you want to do the same thing as what I was doing with this one, and canted and use a laser, you can. All right. Now, I think this one, if I bring up T again, has an infrared laser. So this has actually got a laser on it. You can't see it because it's infrared, but if you put on the night vision, I'm pretty sure. Oh, it hasn't. Okay, I'm trying things as we go here too at the same time, because I'm still testing myself. Oh, I think this is it. Infrared. It highlighted it. If I bring this now, yeah, there we go. I thought it was. This is an infrared laser. This could be handy, for example, if you're in PvP and you're only using the laser, for example, for clearing a building and it's nighttime and you don't want to give your position away, you can use the infrared laser, and you only see it with your goggles. You can't see it without night vision. It only works with the night vision on. So that's something you can also use too. But I'm going to actually switch it to normal. I quite like seeing the laser anyway, and then you can just press it on or off. But yeah, that's something which is available to you also. And we're pretty much nearly ready to go. The only thing I would advise also bring with you is if you have a key holder, this is these things here with your in your inventory, you can also bring these along and have them here. This will hold 4 keys and you can get upgraded ones as you go along. But I would 100% advise bringing them along with you, because you're going to be looking for keys all the time. You're going to have to find keys and use keys, things like that. And so make sure that you do bring them along and you can store them in those key holders. The other thing I do also need to bring along is those trackers we got from that dude. I'm going to put them in my secure container, because if I die, I can still use them. If you die with these out and you lose them, you can rebuy these by going to the vendor and going to the person who gave them to you. So it was Gunny. If you scroll down, you can buy them for $50 for 2 new ones if you wanted to. But I'm going to put them in here because we've got space and we can use them. And this is the thing about the big secure container. At the minute, I don't really need all this extra stuff. So for people who are just starting out and they only got the 4x4, you can get away with that by easily just having like maybe 1 tracker here and a key and your pouches. You'll get away with it. It's not too bad. I don't really use all of them. In fact, a lot of times I will end up just putting like things like ammo in them and things like that. But they are there. And if you put them in the secure container, they won't get disappeared. So this is pretty much all I need. I'm pretty much ready to go. The only other thing is food and drink. Sometimes bring some water and food with you, depending on what you're doing. But if you're looting bodies, looting the AI, a lot of times they will have drinks and food on them. If you're looting around the place, there will be food and drink all scattered about the place. You do have to make sure that your hydration and energy does keep nice and high, because if it does go down low, there is different penalties with those if you get hydrated or lose energy, right? So just make sure you are keeping topped up with water and food, always grabbing water and food or eating from the food you find from bodies. Just keep your hydration and energy topped up. But I do like to bring that along with me too. But we are pretty much good to go and ready to do our first missions. Okay, so we want to do our missions. So if you bring up your tasks, it tells you where they are. Now every single task for a little while is going to be in the starting area. If you press and hold M, it brings up a big map. You can also select it from the menu here by going to map and going to your starting area. It's just going to be below where you start. So if you start at Crimson, it's going to be here. If you start Mithra, it's going to be here. You go Le Mans, it's going to be here, right? So how do you get to these locations? You use a helicopter or you can walk, right? Now you can see here that it says the availability of the choppers. This is on the left hand side. We have 4 choppers per faction. Number 1, as you can see, is available in 30 seconds. It's flying off. It's dropped someone off and it's now flying away. But we also have 3 available for us. So if we want to go somewhere, you just click on the LZ you want to go to. And you'll notice there's no LZs around here. You'll unlock new LZs as you go along doing missions and you're exploring. You'll unlock different LZs to go around different places. But for now, we don't really need to worry about that. We just need to worry about the starting area. I want to go to this area here for my first mission. So I want to most probably go to this place here. This is Alpha 2. So I'm going to click on this and you'll now see that it says call transport. So if I click on this, you can now see that ours is now coming and it's highlighted green. And you can see now the green is now coming over to us and we can now get onto it. This is also a great place. If these are all getting used, it will tell you here what each chopper is doing. And if it's coming over to pick up from base camp and it has a destination you want to go to, you may want to go and jump onto that person's chopper. All right, so it's now coming down for us. If I just tap M, it brings up a short one. Just make sure it is the green helicopter and not a blue helicopter. If it's a blue helicopter, It's not for you, it's someone else's, all right? So again, if you bring on the M, it's telling us where we're going, it's picking us up, and it's taking us now to Alpha 2. So you can see now it's saying the destination is Alpha 2. Off we go. That's how you use the choppers. And then if you want to get back, to say if you've finished your mission, you don't click Alpha 2 to call the chopper back. If you want to go back to base, you click on the base and you click call transport, and it will pick the nearest LZ you are near to have a helicopter come and pick you up. All right, and I'll quickly show you that once we land. I'm not going to take the helicopter back, but I will show you how you would do that too. We're now landing, and I'm just getting ready. Now, if obviously in PvP, you would have to also get ready for getting into fights if it's a hot spot in a hot zone. But in the starting area, don't need to really worry. So now we go, and then the helicopter will then take off and head back to base. All right. So now we're here. If you did want to call a chopper to get back home, again, you hold down your M button, and it'll tell you the kind of availability of the choppers. So if I now click this and call now, it'll tell me a time when it's going to come to me, and it's going to tell me, you know, how long it's going to be. You can also notice now, a good example, this one, number 1 is here, and that's going to pick up from base camp, and it's going to Alpha 2. So this one's actually going to come over to us. We can see that this is coming over. So just something so you know when it comes to the LZs. Now, your LZ, when it is getting called, is going to have a little timer on the compass. You can see at the top, it's going to be 1 minute 30 before it comes, and it tells you the direction it's going to come, so you can kind of run to it and things like that. So that's just something to take note when it comes to traveling about. That's the way to traveling about, is using a chopper or walking. And the last thing I want to talk about is missions and helping you through your missions. Now, there's going to be YouTube guides about where people will be showing you the locations of them, but obviously sometimes you may not be able to find them, or you may not want to watch a video just on finding a location. There is another way you can do so, and this is what I use a lot of the time when I'm trying to figure out a mission. If I just want to get it done and I can't be bothered to explore all the time, or I want to just get something done, this is a great way of doing so. You bring up your tasks, right? Now, some of the tasks will give you information on them. The first tasks do normally give you the coordinates, but this one, Meds Wanted, doesn't give you the coordinates, right? It's just going to give you a description where they are. Now, I know exactly where these are. I've done these missions enough, but if you don't know where they are and you can't find them, there's a few things you can do. First thing is going to be on the map, finding other people around, message them, and you can message people and ask them, where's the objective for this? For example, where do I need to go for this? You can normally ask people, and they'll be really helpful and be able to tell you. I know, for example, the meds area is here. I know exactly where to go for that. But if you didn't know where it is, you can actually use a map genie. So let me just show you what I'm talking about in terms of the map genie. So if I now alt tab, I've got a few things up. This is one of them. Now there's a few you can use. This is the one I like to use specifically for the missions, but there is another one I will be talking about in a video, which is really, really good too for other things. But I want to show you Map Genie because I think it's really, really user friendly and easy to use when it comes to just navigating and finding the missions. And it shows you some of the starting missions, which the other one I found didn't. But we'll talk about the differences between those maps and the maps. But now, Map Genie, you'll come up with this, and I'll leave the link to this in the description down below for you, and you can bookmark it. If you just click hide all, and then it just brings you the normal map, right? And then you can click LZs, for example, and then it'll show you all the LZs available to unlock. And so if you're starting out, you could also go around and unlock all these LZs, and so it gives you a lot more places to fly to, and it gives you points of interest, tells you about them, tells you where loot is available, tells you where keys are, what 3 places of keys, tells you about certain enemies, where enemies will normally be, tells you a lot of things, tells you where the bosses are, because there will be missions where you have to kill the boss in specific areas. You can click this and it'll tell you where they are. So really, really handy, but it's great for finding missions. So for example, Meds Wanted, have no idea, right? Say if you don't know where it is, you looked at it, you read it, and you don't know where that is, and you want to find where that is. You just then go over to Map Genie, go to search, and type in meds wanted. You can just type in meds for short, and most people find it. If you press enter now, you can see if I click on meds wanted, there's one which is up here. I don't know what this is for, but you can click here and meds wanted. You can see it's now showing us the different locations of the different places. Now, this is for each starter town. It's showing you each starter town area. Ours is Lemang, right? So I'm just gonna, again, zoom out just like so. And like I said, I just typed in meds wanted. You can see there's a pin right here in our starting town. If we zoom in and click on this, you can now tell us exactly where meds wanted is on our map. So it tells you it's near this building. You have to go in this building and you can grab it like so, and it just tells you the location just like this, and it marks it on the map for you so you know exactly where that is. So if we now look on the map, I now know where it is. I can go right, it's completely here, it's just right here, this is where it is. I can then right click on the map and click a waypoint, and now I know exactly where I need to go, do that mission and complete that and get that done. All right, so if you are struggling with missions and you want to figure out where something is, the Map Genie and the other map will get updated regularly. Now, I will talk about the other map in another video because it is a really, really good map, and I do use that quite a bit myself too. And yeah, there's two different maps you can use currently at the minute, but the Map Genie is the one I like to use when it comes to doing the missions, at least. Really, really handy and a great way of just trying to figure out where things are. All right. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much it. That is all I want to kind of cover for the starter guide. We go over everything from hitting yourself up, fixing your tasks, selecting your faction, bringing extra ammo, talking to us briefly about the meds and why I put specific things in where. Again, I will, in the link in the pinned comment down below, leave some useful information for you. If you are starting out, like Huds's guide for healing and dealing with the meds. I will leave the Map Genie link down below in the pinned comment, and I will also leave another video of mine which is going to go over the armor values. All right, if you're wondering what is the difference between the armor, what armor should I be wearing, what does these NIJ protection levels mean, I go over all of that in a video, and it's might as well just kind of link that instead of going over it again because nothing has changed. And so I'll leave that also in the pinned comment down below, so it gives you an idea on what you should be using in terms of ammo, armor. I also will go over ammo and talk about the best ammo later on down the line in a upcoming video. And we're also going to be going over some gun builds and streaming on the 24th of November. Can't wait. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for some more Grey Zone Warfare. I will also be recording my whole playthrough of the starting area, because by the time I get to the 24th of November, when you'll be watching this, I will mostly be gone from the starting area and doing other things in the POI. So if you want to watch my starting area and doing all the missions in the starting area, this is going to be a long video, like a VOD, so to speak, of me doing that. And that will be a video also coming, and I will leave that also in the linked comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for some more Grey Zone Warfare.